I'm gonna share my immigration story with you guys today. Yeah, I came to Australia in 2006. I was an immigrant, now proud Aussie for the last 20 years. Aussie, 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 oi.
This is so disrespectful, and actual Australians are kind of growing impatient with this abhorrent racial discrimination against us, this anti-white bigotry, and the claim that, like, an Indian man can be Australian. How disgusting. Imagine if, as a white man, I went into, say, an Aboriginal community and then I moved in to the Aboriginal community and then I just claimed to be Aboriginal. I just disrespected the Aboriginal people, their culture, who they are, their identity as a people, and just claimed their identity for myself. And just said, yeah, I'm Aboriginal. So that's exactly the same when an Indian man says that he's an Aussie. You're not. You're not an Aussie, bro. You can never be an Aussie. You can be an Australian citizen. You can have citizenship in our country and have the same rights and status, and you can be respected the same way an Aussie is respected in Australia as an Indian man. But you're an Indian man. You can never be an Australian. Even if your family is here for 1,000 years, your descendants will be Indians, not Australians. Again, how disrespectful would it be? How disgusting would it be for, say, if I went to an Aboriginal community and took over the Aboriginal community and erased the Aboriginal people, erased their culture, erased their norms, dwindled them down, biologically erased the Aboriginal people in that community till there was none left, and it was just white folk in that Aboriginal community, and we take over completely. But we do it peacefully. We do it legally. And we claim identity as Aboriginal people while we do it, and we completely take them over and genetically, biologically erase them from existence. Is that acceptable? Is that okay to just biologically erase entire populations of Aboriginal peoples and steal their identity? Of course not. It's disgusting. Disgusting bigotry, racial discrimination, disregard for the well-being of that people. So in the exact same way, anyone who comes into Australia and isn't either white or Aboriginal will never be an Australian. If an Indian comes to Australia, he will forever be an Indian. And it's disgusting to think you can take over an Aboriginal community and erase them from existence, wipe them out completely, biologically erase them, and just claim their identity, and you just take over and pretend you're the new Aboriginals. Just wipe them out. That's disgusting. Okay, so all you immigrants coming to Australia, stop being anti-white, absolute disgusting, vile bigots, thinking that you can claim our identity and call yourself Australian. Just stop that, alright? If you want to be in our country, if you want to be an Australian citizen, you're welcome to be an Australian citizen, but you need to have respect for Australia. Yeah? So if you're like one of these Indian immigrants or any immigrant, doesn't matter what race you are, we're not talking about race, that's irrelevant. We're talking about people who have respect for other folk, who don't want to just like genetically, biologically erase the Aboriginal people. Yeah? People who have respect for other peoples. Everyone who has respect, who's white positive, and respects Australia and our culture, our white heritage and white culture, is welcome in Australia, regardless of their race. And we'll treat them as equals. We'll treat them as brothers and sisters. But when they start doing this anti-white crap and hating us on the basis of our race, discriminating against us on the basis of our race, undermining and harming innocent white children with psychological molestation, alright, then they've crossed a line. Then, like this Indian fella, now these immigrants, either they need to stop being anti-white and literally promoting the abuse of innocent white children on the basis of their race, by claiming to be Australians themselves when they're Indians, or they can get the fuck out of our country and be deported when we start mass deporting anti-whites. Okay? Anyone who is against the white race, anyone who's against the fact that Australia is a white country, anyone who's anti-white does not have a right to be in Australia. Okay? So it's not based on race, it's based on if they're a bigot who believes it's okay to discriminate based on race or not. Because if you think it's okay to call yourself Australian when you're an Indian, and you think it's okay to discriminate against the white race like that, which is disgusting, well then, no, you're not welcome in this country, because we don't allow bigots, we don't tolerate bigotry and racial discrimination in Australia. Sorry, mate. So you can call yourself True Blue, you can call yourself Aussie, you can even incorrectly, as he did, try to sound Aussie and say Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. But you got that wrong. You said Aussie, 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 oi. You didn't even say that properly, bro. Like, come on. If you're at least going to pretend, if you're going to racially discriminate against innocent Australian children and undermine their identity, their well-being, their mental health, and psychologically molest innocent children on the basis of their race, alright, at least fucking put some effort in, bro, and, you know, learn how to say Aussie, 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 oi, 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 not just Aussie, 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 oi. Alright, at least if you're going to pretend to be Australian, at least put some effort in, mate, because that was pathetic. Okay? So, again, if you're an Indian and you respect Australia, and you respect our identity and our children, and you don't want to discriminate against innocent white children on the basis of their race, by calling yourself an Australian, then fair enough, you're welcome as an Indian, and we'll respect you and love you, and, you know, you can be an Australian citizen, but you can never be an Australian. Just like I can live in an Aboriginal community, and I'm welcome to any Aboriginal community I've been to. I've been welcomed in, accepted in the tribe. But have I ever claimed to be Aboriginal? No, because that would be disgusting. Okay? So, if you're an Indian, you can come to Australia, but you cannot claim to be Australian. That's disgusting, bro. Have some fucking respect, man.
Australia has one of the strict immigration system in the world.
Are you bloody serious, mate? No, it doesn't. Australia does not have a strict immigration policy, mate. Alright? We do not have some of the strictest immigration. We have some of the loosest, most anti-white immigration in the world. Alright? Which is literally destroying our entire nation. Everyone's lives are worse off because of it. Everyone's power bill through the roof. Fuel through the roof. The price of food through the roof. Even paying rent through the roof. Trying to get a mortgage to get a house through the fucking roof. Why? Because of the anti-white narrative and the anti-white immigration. Alright, so we've got mothers, we've got Australian, white and Aboriginal Australian mothers who come from families who built this country, and this is their home and their inheritance. And these are mothers with children, with babies, homeless living in fucking tents and sleeping in cars and vans. Homeless mothers with children and babies who have inheritance in this country. They should have inherited properties, whole properties, homes. That was these women's birthright. Their birthright, their inheritance. White, Aussie and Aboriginal women who are now currently homeless with babies, homeless babies, who were born with a birthright to be given a home. But that home has been stolen by who? Oh, by men like this Indian immigrant. So that's Australian immigration, mate. We have not got strict immigration. We've got immigration in Australia to the point where we let in Indian men who hate us and disrespect us and try to steal our identity and call themselves Australians, even though they're Indians, who want to psychologically molest and abuse innocent Aboriginal and white children on the basis of their race. And this Indian man has literally stolen a homeless white woman or Aboriginal mother's house. It's actually her home. But now she's on the street, homeless, as a mother, with homeless babies, living in tents and in fucking cars. Why? Because this Indian man stole her house. That's Australian immigration. Don't you dare say it's strict when you literally are living in a homeless Australian woman's house that you've stolen. No Australian, no white Australian, no Aboriginal on this entire continent should be homeless. The only reason there's any homeless whites or Aboriginals in this entire country is because their homes have been stolen by immigrants. That's why there's homeless white folk and homeless Aboriginals. And there shouldn't be, because we were born with a birthright to inherit homes. Because this is our country, our home, our inheritance that our families built for us over generations. So there should not be any homeless white folk. There should especially not be any homeless Aboriginal mothers with freaking homeless babies, because their homes have literally been stolen by immigrants like this Indian man who has no respect for our country, no respect for our people, no respect for our ways, and thinks he can call himself an Australian. How fucking disgusting. Enough is enough. If you want to be an Australian citizen, fair enough. But don't you dare try to steal our identity and call yourself Australian.
So I came in as a student, liked it, paid a lot of school fees, fulfilled every requirement the government wanted me to fulfill, and became the resident of Australia, and so is many other people. Most people who come from India, they are experts, they are good people, they are law-abiding people.
We know this is 100% not true, alright? There's actually massive investigations happening right now in America because it's been proven that the vast majority, okay, so far they found out maybe 80 to 90% of all Indian immigrants who are supposedly qualified or experts in anything have fake qualifications, and that's been found out. There's enough evidence, it's being studied right now, and perhaps soon millions and millions of Indians in America are going to be mass deported because of this investigation. Because the Indian government is actually faking the qualifications so that the Indians can qualify to immigrate when they don't actually have any qualifications at all. And then they're coming over to be like doctors and shit when they're not even doctors. So no, let's not lie about it. I'm sure there are some Indians who actually are qualified and actually are experts in their field, and that's great. And if they want to be, again, Australian citizens and benefit and have the same rights we have as Australians in our home, that's beautiful. They're welcome. They can come and contribute, and then they can benefit themselves. We benefit from them. They benefit from us. Great. But let's not lie and pretend like the vast majority of Indian immigrants are qualified in anything. They do not benefit us or our country. They are a detriment to our country, and they are literally stealing the homes of homeless Women, homeless mothers. The only reason we have homeless mothers and homeless babies in this country is because these unqualified Indians and other non-white immigrants are stealing their homes. So you definitely are not a benefit to our country. You're making our fucking babies homeless, bro. Get the fuck out of our country.
I would go as far as to say that Indians are diamonds of immigration. Diamond, big statement. Because they are just pure workers, man. No troublemakers. Instead of throwing the hate towards Indians, we should be worried about Victoria becoming the car theft capital of Australia. The everyday crime we have in our shopping centers. The machetes. The home invasions. That's the thing we should be worried about as a true patriot and a true citizen of Australia. Not hating people for where they come from.
The irony with this statement is that the only one hating anyone for where they come from is you immigrants who hate Australians because we come from Britain. You hate us on the basis of us being white because we come from Britain. Because Australians are British. We're white. And you hate that. Because you're anti-white. So that's pretty ironic. No one's hating on immigrants. We don't hate you because you're Indian. We hate you because you're anti-white and you stole a home off a fucking mother and now she's homeless and her fucking baby's homeless, bro. And you don't fucking care. That's why we hate you, bro. Not because you're fucking Indian. But you stole the home off of the Aboriginal or white mother and you made her fucking babies homeless, bro, because you hate the white race. So that's the irony there. No, us Aussies, we ain't hating on immigrants. We're just defending our own people. We're defending our own home, defending our culture, defending innocent women, defending children. We haven't got hate for anyone. We only have love. We only act from love for our people. Obviously, it's very important that we address the rising crime rates, all right? The home invasions, the African gangs with the machete crime and knife crime, car theft is increasing, all these issues and problems, right, that we have, Islamic terrorism, all these concerns, right, which are legitimate concerns, right? But the issue is, folk are not looking at the actual root of the cause. They're just like pointing at the problems and like doing nothing about it, all right? Because obviously the root of the cause of all these issues is the erasure of the white Western standards and norms and policies, laws, etc. All right, so the social norms of the white man, the white race, which is the reason why we didn't have high crime rates in Australia. Why in Australia you used to be able to leave your keys in your car and you could leave your front door unlocked and go on a holiday for a month and come home and no one has ever, you never have to lock your front door, nothing. No, your car's still out the front with the keys in it. Right? That's how it used to be in Australia. Why? Because we weren't white erased and we actually had white norms and standards. So you could leave your keys in your car and no one will steal your car because that's how white people live. That's the Australian way. We don't steal each other's fucking cars. That's not what white people do. Alright? Sub-white scum criminals who deserve to be put in cages, yeah, but not ordinary white folk. No ordinary white folk thinks it's acceptable to steal someone else's car. Alright? We don't do that type of thing. So, if we don't address the anti-white mass immigration of non-whites into Australia, the erasure of our Western norms, right? So if we don't address the anti-white narrative, which has promoted white shame and self-hatred to undermine, so we undermine ourselves and we feel bad about our own existence and we don't want to be called the R word, we're scared to speak out because we don't want to be labelled as morally bad, because ultimately we are morally good as white folk. We're good. We're naturally good. So we don't want to be called racist, because that's bad. So we're scared to just stand up and defend ourselves, because we have to do it in a way where we are moral and just, because we're white. And white folk will only stand behind things which are moral, true, and just. So that's why we have to address the anti-white narrative. We have to come at this not with a hatred for immigrants, not with any dislike for this Indian man, alright, on the basis of him being an immigrant or being Indian, but only on the basis of him being anti-white, because that keeps our focus on our people. That keeps us in love for Australia and Australians, alright? And from this position of love for ourselves, because it is just and moral and righteous, we can stand proud as members of the white race, as Western kind, and we can assert our rights and protect our women and children. Alright? So the only way we can actually stop the machete crime, the car thefts, all of this violence, the stabbings, etc., which are increasing in Australia, is to stop the anti-whitism, which is actually the cause of it, which is eroding the norms, the standards, which would prevent it. The standards and norms which are white norms and standards, which we used to have, and why we didn't have the crime that we do now. So the same reason why this Indian man is even in Australia is the same reason and the exact same cause for all of the crime that he's complaining about. So it's like, bro, we can't deal with African gangs and the crime, etc., of non-white immigrants unless we deal with what's causing the mass immigration of anti-white, non-whites who want to commit crimes in this country. And that is obviously the anti-white narrative. Right? That's anti-whitism. Racial discrimination against white folk. So if people actually care about our country and actually want to stop the crime, we have to address the cause of the crime. Not just talk about the problems all the time, let's actually talk about the solution for the problems. And the solution is to be white positive and have a love for the white race and to stamp out all forms of racial discrimination against all people regardless of their background. To never tolerate any form of racial discrimination. When we can actually come to this point of standing up for all people regardless of their background, including Western kind, including white Australians, and we actually say no to all forms of racial discrimination, like mass immigration, allowing an Indian man like this to be in our country and literally steal the home of a homeless mother and her homeless babies. Okay, until we can actually address the cause, which is anti-whitism, there's going to continue to be increasing crime rates. There's going to continue to be homeless Australian, white Australian Aboriginal mothers and homeless babies. And there will be more and more. Alright, and the crime will continue to increase. And nothing will change until we address the actual underlying cause, which is the acceptance of racial discrimination against members of Western kind.
I don't mind it, it's good. I don't mind that I paid so much money as in school fees or taxes or immigration fees to stay in Australia. That's how it should be. That's what makes you respected. That's what it makes me respected, that I paid so much in time and money that I can never ruin it. I can never do the wrong stuff in Australia.
And again, we know this isn't true because you clearly haven't got respect, mate, for Australia or Australians. Even though you paid your way. You did it the right way. So this is a good example of how it doesn't matter if it's illegal or legal immigration. All forms of anti-white immigration are inherently wrong and can never be justified. You can't justify discrimination on the basis of someone's race. It's always wrong. So where's your respect, bro? There's literally a mother, homeless, struggling to feed her babies, bro, because you are in her house. But you're saying you respect Australia because you paid your way to be here. Yet you're happy to steal you're happy to steal a homeless woman's house. If you really respected Australia, bro, you'd move out and live in a tent and there wouldn't be any homeless Australians. Or you'd go back to India. So put your money where your mouth is, bruss. Show some fucking respect. Stop making innocent babies homeless.
So immigrants, in some sense, become better citizens. That's what I believe.
The arrogance. The arrogance this anti-white has to say that. That's how much you can see his hatred, his racial discrimination coming through right there. Where he literally says he thinks because he's an Indian that he's a better Australian. He's a better native than even Aboriginals. He's better. And we're below him. Apparently.
There are people who overstay their visas in Australia. There are people who are illegally staying in Australia. Yes, there are. The government should arrest them and send them back. But most people are just everyday Australians, man, like you or me.
Again, how disgusting. You are not an everyday Australian. You'll never be an Australian. How disgusting would it be to go in, again, let us remember, how disgusting would it be to go into an Aboriginal community, right, and then slowly take over their community and erase them from existence and claim like you're a better Aboriginal than they are. So it doesn't matter. You can just erase, you can biologically erase the Aboriginal people and take them over because you're better. How fucking disgusting is this Indian? And again, not because he's Indian, but because he's fucking anti-white scum who thinks it's okay to steal houses off homeless fucking children and make them homeless, and he thinks he can just erase people from their own homes and then claim to be better than them. And that's his justification, because he's superior. He's allowed to biologically erase us and take us over because he's just so much superior, apparently. So, clearly, immigrants like this have no fucking respect whatsoever, and they need to get the fuck out of Australia, alright? And the immigrants, regardless of their race, even Indians, who actually have respect for Australia and aren't, openly going to discriminate against people on the basis of their race, alright, then they're welcome, because they're actually good people who have a love for all people, including the white race. So they don't discriminate on the basis of race. So they're welcome immigrants. They're good. And they'll never call themselves Australian. They'll always identify as Indians in Australia, in another people's home. And they'll respect that. They'll never try to claim our identity and try to erase us and take us over. Alright, so that's the difference. That's how you can tell an immigrant who deserves to be in our country compared to an immigrant who's just anti-white scum.